Happy Friday, 4.2 reflections. You woke up this morning, you realized it was Friday, you were happy, you looked in the mirror to get ready, and you saw your reflection. So welcome to Reflections. You already know a lot about this. We're still learning about transformations. This is going to be one of our last rigid motions we learn about, which preserve distance and angle measure, which is just a fancy way to say, hey, they stay the same size and shape. They just get moved around. So this is, again, a type of transformation. It's going to be mirrored across a line. We call that line the line of reflection, our reflection line or our line of reflection. Each point and its image, so the OG, each point and its image, the prime image, are going to be the same distance away from this line of reflection. Uh-oh. That is mine. Baby monitor. Hold on. Sorry, y'all. All right. And so it's going to be the same distance from the line of reflection. So what are our steps? Number 1, draw the line of reflection. You have to have a line to flip it over. Number 2, measure the distance from each point to the line of reflection. Keep going with that same measure to the opposite side of the line. Okay. And so draw the image over the line of reflection. So we're starting in a graph. You can see we've got a graph right here. We're flipping it over. We know it's not going to wind up on top of the graph exactly. So we want the same shape to appear, but it's going to be flipped over. So think of it like pancakes. We're taking this and we're flipping it over. And so if we flip this over, we want to flip it over this line. So do I have my line of reflection? I do. It's this one right here. I'm flipping it over this line. And so where is it going to wind up if I flip it over this line? Well, if I look at this point in the corner right here, this point in the corner is 2 away on the left. So where is it going to wind up? How do I know where to draw it? 2 away on the right. So somewhere right here. And if it's going to be a rigid motion and it's going to stay the same size, how do I know how tall to draw it? Well, I'm going to go to this level right here. How do I know that? Because this one is 2 away on the left, so it should wind up right there, 2 away on the right. Okay? And then as far as how it looks, we know it's not going to look like this. It's going to look like something like this because it's flipping over. And so it's going to look something about like this. How do I know how long to draw it? This is about 4 units long, so about 4 would be about right here. Again, this is not perfect because it's going off the graph, but we're just trying to create a visual right now for y'all. So this OG shape, this pre-image would wind up on top of my image if I flipped it over this line of reflection. All right. Let's look at this line of reflection. It's dotted. And so all of us know that this little diamond shape is going to look something like this again. That looked terrible. Can't draw a straight line to save my life. Boom. Okay. Still terrible, but that's fine. Y'all can picture it. Give me, creativity. Just picture it looking better than it does now. And so what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over, but now we have to know, where do I shade it? Is the top shaded or is the bottom shaded? Well, if this were a translation, the top would be shaded. It would just slide down. But this is not a translation. This is a reflection. So what part do I need to be shaded? I need the part furthest away from the line to be shaded. So it flips over and it looks something like this. Obviously not the best of pictures. That's why a graph is so much easier. But again, y'all, this is like Instagram versus reality. That's a horrible picture. I'm so sorry. But the shaded part is further away from the line. It gets flipped over. All right, so now let's look at when we're actually fully in the coordinate plane. We want to take this OG shape, the original, and we want to find, so this is our first shape, and we want to find our second shape by reflecting it over what? Over the y-axis. So which one is the y-axis? In your notes, I want you to highlight this line because, y'all, there are a lot of lines in the coordinate plane. It is really hard to reflect over a line if you don't know which one you're counting to. So highlight that, use a highlighter, use a pen, make it darker so you can count to it. And so what do we know about the equation of that line? I just wanted to make a note about this. The equation of that line is x equals 0. This is where every single x value on this line, no matter what level you're at, you don't go left or right at all, okay? Your x value is always 0. So we're going to try to find the rule for when x is equal to 0. All right, so if r is currently at the point 3, 0. So where does it go? Well, right now that is 3 on the right of the line. So now we want to be 3 on the left of the line. That same distance, just on the other side of the line, that is going to be our r prime. Think Optimus Prime like in the movie Transformers. We transform that point and we reflect it across the y-axis so it turns into -3, 0. All right, what about S? Well, S is 1, 2, 3, 4 away. So I'm going to be on 1, 2, 3, 4 away. On the left of the line, that's going to be S prime. which of course is going to be the point -4, 0. Where is Q at? Q is 2 to the right at this level, which is 2, -4. So it's going to be at -2, -4 for Q prime. And then last but not least, we have T, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away at that level. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away at that level. So 5, -3 turns into -5, -3. And then, of course, when I connect those dots, this needs to make the same figure, same size, just flipped over that line. So same size, same angles, same side lengths. This would be the second shape. That's called our image. So we go from our pre-image to our image. Y'all, if you think back to when you were in elementary school and you had to make Valentine's Day cards, the easiest way to make a heart would be to take a sheet of paper and then take that sheet of paper and fold it in half. And so that you had the overlap, along this line, you would fold it. And then it turned into a sheet of paper that looked like this. And you would cut a heart like this. You would literally cut along these dotted lines right here. And what happened when you unfolded it? We had the exact same shape on both sides, and it was a perfect heart. This is exactly what we're doing. We have a line of reflection. We're using that line of reflection to put the same thing or congruent shapes on either side, okay? Whenever you were doing that in elementary school, you didn't know it at the time, but you were putting the line of reflection touching the shape, and so it mirrored it on both sides, and so your line of reflection would be right here, straight down the middle. And so it made it look like a pretty Valentine's Day heart, and you went and put it in people's Valentine's Day box. What you're doing here is you just have some space in between, and so it's going to pop up on either side of this line of reflection. So what is our rule for reflecting across the y-axis? What changed every time? Well, let's look at it. 3, 0 to -3, 0. 4, 0 to -4, 0. 5, -3 to -5, -3. What changes every time is the x value. All of our y values stayed the same. So we're going to flip the sign of whatever our x value is. All of our x values went from positive to negative. If they were negative, say we started on the left, they'd turn to positive. So you flip the sign of the x values and your y values stay the same. All right, what if it was a reflection across the x-axis? Well, let's find that. Highlight that with your highlighter or your pen. Make that darker. This is across the x-axis. What's the equation of that line? This is when y is equal to 0. You don't go up or down at all. This is totally flat. And so what's going to happen there? Well, let's look at this. R is on the line. So if you flip this over the line, it's still going to be on the line. That's also going to be R prime. So R prime is not going to change at all. That's still going to stay the 0.30. Same thing for S prime. S prime is still on the line. It was at 40. It's still at 40. We didn't get any further away from the line because we were on it. But what about Q? Well, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 below. So 1, 2, 3, 4 above at the same level. That is going to be 2, +4. That is going to be our Q prime. And then last but not least, we have T is at 1, 2, 3 below the line. So 1, 2, 3 above the line at that same level is here. That is going to be at the 0.5, +3. So what changed every time? Our y values flipped signs. And so that is going to be x, -y. We changed all of our y values. Why did these not change? Because 0 is neither positive nor negative. So let's connect the dots. Make sure we did this right. Q prime to R prime to S prime to T prime. It's kind of like our Valentine's Day heart. We went from our original, our pre-image, to our image. It stayed the same size and shape. And it flipped over this line. So what is our rule for reflecting over the y-axis where x is equal to 0? You change the x value, which makes sense because this is an x. What is our rule for reflecting over the y-axis? When y is equal to 0, your y values are all going to change signs. Okay? So what if it's not the y-axis or the x-axis? What if it's the line y equals -1? Well, we need to find that line first. If I'm going to flip this shape, this original, number 1, over a line, I need to know which line I'm counting to because there's a lot of lines here. Well, the line y equals -1 goes through the y-axis. Think of it like a bow and arrow. It hits the y-axis, and it hits it at the level of -1. This is the line y equals -1. So first step is just to draw that line. So highlight it for us. All right, so it's going to flip over. It's not touching the shape, and so it's going to wind up on the other side. It was below it. Now it's going to be above it. I is 1 below the line at -3, -2. So I prime is going to be 1 above the line. What do we expect to change? Our y values should change. So we know that our y values are going to change because we're moving up. And so it's 1 above the line. That is going to be at -3, 0. -3, 0. That is our I prime. What about E prime? Well, E is 2 below the line, so E prime is going to be 2 above the line. E prime, so E prime is going to be at -3, +1. So again, that changed. And then Q is 1, 2, 3 below the line, so 1, 2, 3 above the line on the other side. There's Q prime. It is at the point 2, 2, 2, 2. So again, the 2 stayed the same. For the X value, the Y value changed. And then last but not least, there is Z. So Z is hanging out 1, 2, 3, 4 below the line. So 1, 2, 3, 4 above the line. There is Z prime. Let's connect the dots and make sure that we have some congruent figures here. If I were to connect these dots, there we go. This shape would wind up on top of itself. Kind of turn your head sideways. Those would, if I were to fold that along the line, those would wind up on top of each other. So there's 1, there's 2. I did not put that point. What was Z? Z was at... The Y value should change, so that would be the point 0, 1, 2, 3. So 0, 3. All right, and so let's look at X equals 3. X equals 3, so going through the X-axis. So here's my X-axis, and so my X values are going to change. I can expect that from the beginning. And so where is that line going through the X-axis? At 3. So there it is right there. So first thing I notice is that it touches a point. A is on the line, so A prime is also going to be on the line, so that does not change. That's still 3, -1. All right, what about S? S is 1 away on the right, so S prime is going to be 1 away on the left. S prime, that is going to be the point 2, 2. So again, I noticed that that X value did change. Let's look at green. T, 1, 2 away on the right, so 1, 2 away on the left. There's T prime. That's going to be the point 1, -2. Again, that X value changed. And then what about J? Well, J is hanging out 1 on the right of this line, so that same level 1 on the left is going to be J prime. That's the point 2, -3. 2, -3. Connect those dots. Make sure it makes some congruent figures. Shapes that are the same size. Just flipped over. So it went from number 1 to shape 2, my pre-image, to my image. It just flipped over this line. Okay. All right, let's do that real quick again. Y equals 2. So I go through the Y-axis at 2. Oh my goodness, this bow and arrow is going through the shape. Here's what that means. Anything that before was above the line is now going to be below, and anything that was below in red is now going to be above. So we're going to have the shape flip on top of itself. So what stays in the same spot for the line Y equals 2? We know which one is on the line. Well, we have 2 on the line. W prime is still going to be in the same spot. So that's going to stay in the same spot, 0, 2. Y prime is on the line, so it's going to stay in the same spot. Here is my Y, that is at 4, 2, so that stays at 4, 2. But what's going to move? My green one is going to move, and then also my light blue one is going to move. So my light green one was 1 above the line. Now it's going to be 1 below the line. So there's X prime. Did I expect that to change? 0, 1? Yes, because I know that my Y value should change since this is a Y equals line. Okay. All right, let's look at the blue one. So light blue, Z is 1, 2, 3 below the line. So that same level, 1, 2, 3 above the line. There's Z prime. It's now on the other side. That is going to be at the point 4, 5, I believe. Let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Okay, so connect those dots and make sure that we get that same shape that is just flipped over that line. And so is it? It is. Let me connect those dots a little bit better. Connect all my prime shapes. And so again, that blue part flipped over. And then so we went from our first shape to our second shape. And we just flipped over that line. Okay. What about X equals -1? It goes through the X-axis at -1. Again, that goes through the shape. So I'm going to expect my X values to change. And so instead of 1, 0, it's going to be something different. Are there any points that are on the line? Yes, Y is on the line. So Y prime is also going to be on the line. So that stays -1, -4. But W is 2 away on the left. So W prime is going to be two-way on the right. W prime, that's going to be the point 1, negative 2. So that did change. And then let's look at our last one. X is two-way on the right. So now it's going to be two-way on the left. So that does move across that line, X prime. And so its coordinates are negative 3, 0. And so let's connect the dots. It's hard to see until you connect the dots. X prime gets connected to Y prime, which gets connected to W prime. So again, this flipped on top of itself because we had our line of reflection was going through the shape. All right, last but not least, writing a rule for the line of reflection. They've done all of the hard work for you. You simply have to find the line of reflection. So let's go look at these two shapes. Well, here's U prime and here's U. What's in the middle? Here. Here is P prime and here's P. What's in the middle? Here. Here is H and H prime. What's in the middle? Here, kind of like a midpoint formula. So what is this line? This is the line. This is our y-axis. Another way you can write that is a reflection across the line, x equals 0. Okay? Same thing here, between r and r prime is here, between g and g prime, between w and w prime. What is this line? This is our x-axis. This is a reflection across the x-axis. What's another way to say that? It's a reflection across the line, y equals 0. Those mean the same thing. All right, this one's a little bit harder because we have this shape that's in black that is being reflected to this shape that's in blue. Well, we got to find the middle. We've got to find the middle of line. And so you're going to look at the letters. What's between J and J prime? This one. What's between F and F prime? This one. So what is the equation of this line? This line right here. Well, it's a horizontal line. Horizontal. And so we say horizontal lines are going through the y-axis. Where is it going through the y-axis? It's going through the y-axis at 2. So this is a reflection across the line, y equals 2. All right, this is going to be a vertical line. How do I know? Because it's right in the middle between K and K prime, P and P prime, R and R prime. And so this is going to be a vertical line, V-E-R-T. And so we know it's going to go through the x-axis. Where does it go through the x-axis? -1, -2, -3. So this goes through the x-axis at -3. So this is a reflection. This shape gets flipped over the line x equals -3. And I knew that line needed to be in between those two shapes since they winded up on top of each other, whereas these did not. Okay, your homework is on the back. Happy Friday, everybody.